kwa ukombozi wetu. Tujitoe wenyewe, tusimame pamoja kulinda uhuru na umoja wetu. Enyi bwana na binti wa Afrika, mwili wa jua, mwili wa anga, tuifanye Afrika mti wa uzima. Tuungane sote, tuimbe pamoja, kuenzi shikamano hatima yetu. Tujitoe wenyewe kupambana pamoja, uhuru na umoja vitawale. Enyi bwana na binti wa Afrika, mwili wa jua, mwili wa anga, tuifanye Afrika mti wa uzima. Tuungane sote na tujibidishe kutoa kilicho bora kwa Afrika. Chimbuko la wanadamu, chemchemi ya utamaduni, tumaini letu wakati wa mafarakano. Enyi bwana na binti wa Afrika, mwili wa jua, mwili wa anga, tuifanye Afrika mti wa uzima.
Today we look at the role of consumers in ensuring food safety. We look at the role of consumers in ensuring food safety, and of course, I'm with the experts in consumer rights and food safety concerns. My name is Kato Mukasa, and of course, this is Humanist TV Africa. And today in the studio is Dennis Bongole, and of course, with my experts in the studio, Mr. Henry Kimera, Consent, Uganda, and of course, Mr. Bernard Wambale. You are most welcome, colleagues.
Thank you very much, Paul, and it is a great honor. The journey of 2024 is now bringing us to a number of series that we are going through, and we had a dedicated march to consumers, and it has been indeed a Consumer Awareness Month. We tried to bring in our colleagues from the continent. I only managed to bring in Kenya, who started with us. And so colleagues, the month of March, we have dedicated it to consumers, consumer awareness, consumer empowerment, and telling consumers you are a strong force, a socioeconomic force. Once you use your rights, you assert them, you can turn around and even make businesses better when they are providing quality products. And the other aspects, we will need to nurture a quality culture to get good services and products wherever we are getting them. So, and I'm sorry I wasn't with you last weekend. I was on the move. No, the other weekend I was on the move. Still, I was on the continental duty. But last weekend we had a good engagement, and I would pray that Bernard leads us through, gives us a recap of that. And today it is a great honor that we are going to lead the consumers further in how best they can ensure food safety at their household, but also in the market. They play their role in the market and also play their role wherever, even at the farm level. So consumers have a role to play at every stage or at every level of food, right even before it goes into the ground, or once before it is produced. Consumers have a role into its harvesting, transportation, and even into preparation and consumption. So it will be a great honor to have you here today, and also to put a landmark to future empowering of consumers to be strong and be able to have a sustainable agri-food system to provide us with sustainable food that is nutritious, safe, of quality, and gives us healthy diets. Thank you very much. So Bernard, you can help us with the recap. I'm sorry, I'm turning into a moderator, which is not my
No, it's
role.
right. It's
So
okay. We
thank
are
you
all
very
now
much.
co-hosts here. Yeah, we are all panelists. We are all co-hosts here. Right, go ahead.
Okay.
Okay, so thank you very much, Henry and Kato. Of course, last week we're really basically looking at the documentaries around food safety. Of course, we had hosted our colleague from Slow Food, trying to share with us a documentary of the practices that have been happening in our communities that render our food unsafe for consumption, but also in the same documentary, they were showing us the good practices really that some community members are adopting as a way of improving the safety of the food that we give to our consumers. But also after appreciating this, the practices, we're able to now dive into understanding different aspects when it comes to handling of food at the different nodes of the food system, to make sure that by the time the food reaches the consumer, it is actually safe for consumption, but also looking at the level of the consumer, how food can also get contaminated at that level. That, well, you can pick food which is nutritious, but also safe from the market or the garden, and then you reach home and during the course of transportation, or during the course of storage, or during the course of preparation of food, you end up actually rendering the quality of the food not appropriate for consumption. So looking at the different nodes of the food system, ensuring that our food is safe until it enters our bodies. It was a very critical issue that we're looking at last week. And of course, from that, we decided that this week, we've been looking at the different aspects when it comes to food safety issues. In the previous few weeks, we're able to look at a number of things. Aflatoxins, we came over there. We came to rights and responsibilities. We came over there. We looked at now the role of civil society organizations. We looked at the role of government in ensuring that people have access to safer and nutritious food. Now, today we wanted to focus on, okay, we have seen what the role of the other actors would be. What about us, the consumers? What is our role in actually ensuring that the food we are eating or the services we are taking are actually safe for us? So it is now, we are throwing the ball back to us. We have learned over time that many of the challenges actually are not because of the processors or the producers, but the challenge is us, the consumers. So today, we want to start from there. What is my role as a consumer? What is my contribution to ensuring that the food I'm receiving is actually safe for me? So that is what we want to dive in today. And of course, we shall be able to discuss a wide spectrum of things, but also looking at the vivid examples in our setting, in our homes, in our communities, where we fail as consumers, and we start blaming government, we start blaming civil society organizations, we start blaming processors. And yet, in actual sense, it is us that are contributing to this kind of situation. So when the time comes, if Mukasa allows, then I will dive into the role of us, the consumers, and then we proceed. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Now, I'm going to request the producer, Dennis Bongole, to give us those two short videos, because they give us the benchmark, they give us the background to this discussion. We'll see how the manufacturers, the producers do their stuff, and how these dubious people do their stuff, and how they affect us. Therefore, we'll be asking a question: what can we do in such situations? Then let us have a look at those two videos.
A sachet of transformer oil, sold right in the heart of the smaller trading spots that make up the larger part of Chipata Market in Lusaka, are made to believe that this is sold for many purposes. One of the shocking ones is that it is used for cooking oil. And I had to be well prepared and disguised in order not to be recognized as a reporter that I am. So going into the market was not easy, but we managed to trace somebody actually selling this to the public. This shot was taken on phone, just next to a tomato stall that this reporter was conveniently buying from.
We use this to cook for our husbands. We didn't know it was dangerous.
Those selling this should be arrested.
I didn't know that this happens in our community.
ZESCO spokesperson Henry Kapata has warned of stiff legal action against offenders.
It's very common in the rural setup where you see people standing along the roadside, selling this diesel mixed with transformer oil. But from the human point of view, this is a transformer oil that is used for cooking. They use it for cooking. We have arrested several people to this effect, but it's all about vandalism.
The Lusaka City Council says the public must be alert.
Please don't buy goods, especially foodstuffs, food-related items from unauthorized places.
Medical experts feel this can have untold health connotations.
Transformer oil cannot be used in food. You are simply poisoning the body, and a lot of diseases can result from that.
The public has been warned, and so have the offenders. Penelope Sikazwe, ZNBC News, Lusaka.
Now you can imagine, these are two videos. We shall also have an image from today's newspaper in Uganda. But now the experts are here. Honestly, number one is a small video, brief video about people purportedly making a soda, making Coca-Cola, and it's well branded, well made. Honestly, even me, if I found it on the streets, there's no I could distinguish between a good product from a fake one. Now, how do you protect me from buying this Coca-Cola, which we are seeing is fake? Number two is a video from Lusaka, Zambia. Well, you can imagine. And you taught us in January and February, I remember very well, that we have the same problem in Uganda. And I remember giving you the example of my own area where I come from, where my school is situated. There was a point when our transformer was vandalized and oil was taken from it. Our transformer and our place was in darkness for almost a month. So these guys are taking this oil and then giving it to us back in terms of food. Transformer oil found in Kampala food. Now, look at this kind of thing. We have seen it in Zimbabwe, we have seen it in Zambia, Kenya, and now Uganda. I go back to the panelists in the studio. What can we do as consumers to protect ourselves? First, we buy these foods without knowing whether the oil is genuine or not. What can we do? That's my question to Mr. Kimera first.
Well, thank you very much, Paul, and I would like to thank you, colleagues, for the curtain rise videos. We'll find that as consumers, whether knowledgeable or unknowledgeable, we are victims of unscrupulousness. And when the food control systems are not fully fledged in line with policy, legal, regulatory, and institutions are not fully invested in, this is where the challenges would come in. Because if the regulations are in place and they are implemented, then there will be inspectors who will be in position to go on inspecting even the cottage industry. Now, with the food system control mechanism has got consumer awareness in it. So when consumers are made aware, they will be in position to see unscrupulousness and report it to a fully fledged system all institutional frameworks. Institutions as local governments would be in position to do the investigation and apprehend the unscrupulous people who are endangering the health of consumers. As consumers, once we are knowledgeable, we are the majority. We are in the millions. Unfortunately, like the Zambian video, even here in Uganda, the unscrupulous are known, but you'll even find the public health or the duty bearers too consuming the same. That is where now the consumers who are ignorant would ask themselves, but if so and so is consuming it, whom we think is knowledgeable enough, then it becomes a challenge. So the main thing that we need to do in our countries, like we have always been saying, the cancers are increasing. Like the doctor said, or the health professional said in the video, but even we know it in our countries, that a lot of industrial chemicals, now you look at transformer oil, it is supposed to be in electricity and in equipment, ends up in food. This would require more awareness at local level, the local governments to be in position to do regular inspection, to be able to trace. But you'll find that a local government that is supposed to have, let's say, 50 public health inspectors, it only has 1 or 2, and they are funded. So this is where it goes back now to the central government to play its role, because a healthy nation has to have healthy citizens who are consumers. So this is where I will call it lip service needs to stop, and we get action, unless we are going to consume ourselves to death. And the duty bearers need to know that without food security, there is no national security, because a weak human power in productivity as a market, once it falls sick, then the country will not be in position. It will be indebted because we will be spending more money on health. So those are the few things. Then the aspect of consumers, we need to stop playing a passive role. We need to play a strong role to make sure that whatever comes into the food system is of quality. So this is how I am looking at it, and this is what we have been doing the whole of March. Like Bernard will be sharing and I will be sharing. We have dedicated the 4 weeks to different parts of this country. We were in Gulu, that is in northern Uganda, for 5 days, engaging people in the market, engaging city authorities, local government authorities, going out to universities, schools, and going out into public, engaging the media. So we did all these, went to Kasese municipality, did the same, in Mbale, did the same, and we have just concluded Kampala and Wakiso. So I would leave the other beef of joining in with the Kingdom of Buganda. Yesterday, on Thursday, 29th, we brought together different regulatory agencies and we discussed the different aspects. We even brought artificial intelligence into food so that people can understand when looking at the two videos and even the headline in Uganda, this using different approaches, awarenesses can greatly help to avert and also address some of these vagaries that are in the food safety system. So that is what I can say for now. But we have done a full month of activities. At least 1/3 of Uganda, we have engaged it. And I would say then we have also engaged now the viewers of the Humanist Africa TV. We have also involved them in our Consumer Awareness Month. So we have taken food safety to our other aspects. So consumers, you have a role to play, because if you don't have a role, if you don't play your role, you'll end up spending more. But we need to take on the challenge of food safety as consumers. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. I think that is a very good explanation. Now, I'll turn to Mr. Wambale immediately. You talked in the background about your engagement with the Buganda Kingdom. The audience would like to hear exactly that. What is it that we should expect from you concerning working with Buganda Kingdom? Because we know that at least over 15 million people are under this kingdom. At least if we can capture, even if it's halfway, well informed, we shall be able to save lives. Look at, for example, the food being vended on the streets of Kampala. And I'm a victim because I told you I'm a streetwise eater. Now I'm seeing we are eating food cooked using transformer oil. This is why we are dying of cancers. My father died of cancer. And most of us worry because we know that maybe this is going to catch up with us. And we are buying the same food for our children. Our children ask for muchomo, ask for chicken and all that stuff, and you go and buy on the streets. So, going back to you, Mr. Wambale, all of us have been victims, but also have been perpetuators of the same recklessness. Highlight to us what we can do, but also tell us what your arrangement with Buganda Kingdom is in terms of creating awareness. Because I remember you said that it is not enough to say we are having a cancer run. So what? It's very good, but we are going to run, yes, and we know there's cancer, yes, but are we tackling the causes of this cancer? Let us hear from you, Mr. Wambale.
Okay, thank you so much, Kato, and thank you so much, Henry, for giving us a curtain raiser to start the show. Now, you know, issues of consumers are very diverse, and so we decided that we look at how do we influence consumers to understand this subject we are talking about. And we learned that now, one of the best ways of reaching out to consumers that is more effective and efficient would be going through the leaders who have a platform. You know, we have information, but we don't have a platform. The other leaders have a platform, but they don't have information. So we thought that, okay, how do we blend the two? Now, we used Buganda as our first stepping step. So what happened was that, okay, the Kabaka or the king of Buganda is a very powerful person here. When a king speaks something in Uganda, whichever kingdom it is, it could be Buganda, it could be Bunyoro, wherever. But when a king speaks in our land here, every subject of that king bows down and accepts exactly what the king has said. So looking at that background, we thought that, okay, how do we now leverage on the person who is easily understood, who has influence on his subjects, to make sure that this information reaches our people and we save the lives of our people. So we identified the kingdom of Buganda, having so many people, actually closer to, I think, more than a quarter of Uganda. The population is based around Kampala or the Buganda region. And the king has a lot of influence there. So we decided that we partner with the kingdom. We look out for the ministers of the kingdom. We look out for the influential figures of the kingdom. We look at the chiefs from all over the Buganda kingdom. We also look at extension workers of the Buganda kingdom. We also looked at the media that is operating in Buganda, because the kingdom, of course, has so many media channels. So we got those media personalities as well of the kingdom. we went into the institutional, high institutions of learning of the kingdom, so that we have the entire kingdom with us and we give them this information. By the way, we also, we are aware that the king has 9 markets in Kampala here, in the jurisdictions here. Those belong to the king. So we also got the committees of those markets and brought all of them on board. And they're like, guys, look here, the population is at stake of death anytime because of the quality of the food that they are undertaking. And one of the reasons each year the Kabaka launches a cancer run. You know, I want to tell you now from my public health aspect. If, for example, I don't know, you've seen people have accidents on the bus. So you hear a bus has gotten an accident and the bus is carrying 62 individuals and only one person dies. We have never asked ourselves what killed that individual. So many people would think that the accident killed the person, but that is not true. Actually, in science, in medical science, an accident never kills the person. Because if the accident was the killer of the person, all the 62 who are engaged in an accident should have died. So it could be perhaps that the person who died overbled. So the cause of death is overbleeding, not the accident, but the overbleeding. It is the same if a house burnt and maybe there were 3-4 people in the house and then it burns and one of them dies. We cannot say that the burning of the house killed the person. We shall say that maybe the person suffocated after taking in a lot of carbon monoxide, and so there was a shortage of oxygen. So that is cause of death. And so in science, that's why we do post-mortem issues. So it is the same to this cancer run that the Kabaka keeps on, you know, fronting, and many other entities. Rotarians are always fundraising for cancer. But our questioning was, no, why do we fund the result? Why can't we fund the cause? So we said now food is one of the causes of cancer, but how many people know that this is the cause? So before we go to run for a disease which has already come, let us run to fundraise resources to sensitize the masses that please, you can prevent cancer to come to you by eating healthy food. And also looking out at the business angles and say, guys, look here, you are keeping on claiming that the customer is your boss, meaning that the customer is providing for you meals or services. And so the customer becomes your boss, mere fact that is giving you the money that you are going to use. But in principle, when you give me food with transformer oil, you're literally saying that please die early so that you don't bring me money. That is the philosophy here in business. You're literally saying that, okay, I don't need your services anymore. I don't need your money. Please die very fast so that I don't receive your money. So this is where we are coming from to deal with the kingdom. And by the way, we intend that we go to other kingdoms and do the same campaign so that we have awareness of all people in the different areas, looking at the leaders of those areas to front this discussion of food and food safety. So we think that partnering with these entities will give us a mileage of reaching so many people, but also having more influence to the consumers really to change their behavior, but also the business people who are giving us the wrong food. Perhaps they can have some bit of change. So this is the agreement. This is the declaration we made with the kingdom. And the kingdom was so much interesting that they haven't already given us all the radio talk shows that we're talking about and a little bit useless things. They are getting them into food awareness because someone was saying that, okay, why should we be listening to Ronaldo in the UK or in the US? He's earning a lot of dollars, and then you spend 2 hours listening to or watching a match of 90 minutes. Why can't we use these 90 minutes to sensitize our masses? The other guy is already earning his millions of dollars. Why can't we use this same space to reach out? So this is what we are trying to look at. And then the ministers also have, this political space on radios. And we're thinking, why should your electorate die and you are busy teaching them about, politics, how to vote? They will not come to vote if they don't have the health. So why can't we use that same space, government hour, to sensitize masses on food safety issues and consumer protection? So this is the direction we are taking. Why should we have wrong food advertised on television and we are not and we are not advertising the right food? So those are the discussions we're having. How do we now leverage on the media channels of the Buganda Kingdom to reach out with subjects and across? So that is the snapshot of why we wanted to partner with the Buganda Kingdom. But from the lessons so far, we're going to extend this to Bunyoro. We're going to speak to the king of Bunyoro Kingdom. We're going to speak to the king of Bukonzo, the Rwenzururu king. We're going to speak to the king of Toro. We're going to even the eastern part, we're going to speak to the king there, so that we have a diversity of the kingdoms taking lead in food. And maybe to bring to your notice, we also agreed that this program of Bulungi Bwansi, I hope you remember the Bulungi Bwansi program, under the kingdom of Buganda. We said now, why should people come and clear the roads and we leave out issues of food? Why should we do Bulungi Bwansi and we forget Bulungi Bw'abantu? So what we're going to do is that we are going to integrate food safety and consumer protection in Bulungi Bwansi program. As people are doing community service, we are doing awareness on how to handle food to foster them do their activities smoothly when they are healthy. So those were the discussions basically that we had with the Buganda Kingdom. And I think one of the issues also came clearly that the consumers are also, there is a reluctance amongst the consumers. There is a lot of complacence when it comes to the consumers. They're not taking things seriously. And of course, they're not taking things seriously because they seem not to understand why they are doing things. And that is why this theme of the day was very important. What is my role as a consumer? Away from the king, away from the LC, away from the minister, away from what is my role? If I just looked at the videos we just played a few minutes ago, you will learn that people who are packing that soda are actually consumers of that same soda. So you will realize that they will pack it, but at the same time, they will be the first beneficiaries to actually drink it. So already they are giving other people, you know, you may think that you're giving someone poison and you forget that you're also taking in the same. So it is very important that consumers, we really begin with ourselves. Consumers are the same people producing the food, or the producers are the same people consuming the food. Even the processors, by the way, those guys who are giving us transformer oil for cookery, they're the same people eating chapati. So it is something to know that, well, what is the risk of eating this and the other to my health? I as a supplier, but at the same time as a consumer. On the other hand, if you look at consumers, we have a big role to play. Imagine a woman who was saying that, we have been cooking this thing for over a long time and we didn't know it was dangerous. Just from common sense, a human being will already know which kind of vegetable oil is prompt for human consumption. That one is known by everyone. You don't need someone to teach you that. But then by the time you are cooking a particular cooking oil for a year and you do not know where that cooking oil is coming from or what that cooking oil is, then it means you have a problem in your head. And if you went into this discussion, you will learn that many of them, many of the consumers, they will give you a reason of why they are cooking it, and they will tell you it doesn't cook easily. So they can reuse it over the years. Last year around September, I presented an issue of transformer oil to the Zambian team. I was dealing with colleagues from Zambia, and I told them there is a lot of transformer oil being misused in different countries. And perhaps this is why they went into investigating this video and coming up with this kind of finding. It is the same to Uganda. For the last 2 years, I've been talking about presence of transformer oil in chips. And the leaders were a little bit saying that we are inciting violence. Can you imagine? The leaders were saying we are inciting violence around food, we are exaggerating things and all this. And that is what brought about many scientists to join the wagon, and we conduct research to inform people that, you know what, there is actually transformer oil from the scientific papers. We can easily do scientific studies and see. And that's why you see that newspaper there. So trying to confirm that there is a lot of food fraud happening in this country and in the different countries at hand. But then the consumers still will play part. First of all, we are the ones who are supposed to demand for quality products, for quality food. But you can imagine, even after talking about this, and we have even told them that this kind of oil, when it looks like this is not safe, this is this, consumers proceed and buy this food. So the more we buy this kind of food, when we even know that it's dangerous food, we are causing, a demand and supply issue. So the consumers are demanding food with transformer oil. So the processors will keep us giving us this kind of food because there is demand. So the issue that I'm raising is that how can we convince or help consumers to demand for safer options compared to the unsafe options. That is our role, because we are the ones demanding, and that is the reason why these hopeless guys are giving us products that are not supposed to be eaten. I am telling you, in Uganda, we have also learned. We have been talking about it, and we have decided to go into research so that maybe we provide more evidence, because what we have provided seems to be inadequate. That people are using formalin, which is a chemical used in treating human dead bodies, and someone is putting it in meat. I have been talking about it with Henry for over now, I think, a whole 2 years, talking about it. And our leaders kept on thinking that, well, I think we're inciting violence, until we see the impacts of this. The problem is that who is selling formalin? And under what circumstances is formalin being sold in this country? These should be the questions prominently. But this comes from the consumer, that if the consumer is saying, look here, guys, we have heard there is this and this being done in our food, and we make government accountable for these wrong things happening in their site. Remember, we have the National Drug Authority is here with us. We have talked about this chemical existence in meat, in milk. We have talked about it. The question we have been asking them, who is selling formalin? So that there is a regulation that formalin can only be sold in health center foods, or maybe it can only be sold in a hospital setting. So that whenever we see this chemical, we know there is a hospital attached to it. But at the time, we cannot even trace where is the formalin coming from. Meaning that formalin is being sold even in pharmacies and clinics, which is illegal. And this is our role as consumers and consumer organizations to say, guys, look here, you cannot sell formalin in a pharmacy or in a clinic, because people will have access to it and misuse it. This is where we're coming from. But the consumers are not demanding. The work is being done by a few of us who are trying to raise the concerns to government, to everybody, to make sure. So we are requesting society, especially consumers, let us raise our voices. Yesterday, we met with the UNBS boss. I and Henry, we had a gathering and we met with her. And the question we raised in that platform was, in 2022 and 2023, we saw our maize being rejected at the border point of Kenya and Sudan, respectively. So the question we fired there was, where did the maize go thereafter? And the reality is that she didn't have an answer, because, I mean, there is a regulator who is supposed to be regulating food going outside the country, Ministry of Trade working with UNBS. So the question was, how did the food reach the border before UNBS and Ministry of Trade ascertained that this food is of quality? And anyway, assuming that you had a gap, you didn't check it and moved out. So the other side, they reject it. They say, no, guys, we are not ready to kill our community because of the too much of the aflatoxins in the food, and so we reject your food. So the food was handed over to our government, perhaps to Ministry of Trade or to the regulatory body around. Now, the question we've been asking ourselves, so when it was rejected and handed over to these guys, where then did it go? And this is the question that now all consumers were supposed to be asking, where did that food go? If that food came back to the pipeline and came back to us, it is still us who kept quiet that consumed it, and our life reduced. So you see, when people keep looking at the morning coming and evening going, they don't put into perspective that actually life is already reducing by days or years. And this is very bad for us. So as consumers, we have a right, and so it is our responsibilities to demand for safer products. That is one. Number two, we are supposed to report. Actually, it is through our reporting that you see many things coming up. I am proudly saying that because we have made sure that we report each and everything where we have space. I started reporting on formalin many times, and until scientists said, no, but let us study this guy, might be very clear. Let us study it. Research has come out, and there's already a publication. You saw in the papers, and there are many publications now. It is us again who came up and said, guys, there's a lot of highly hazardous pesticides in our vegetables. We came up on the streets, made a noise with media, and this is where government now is held accountable. So it is our role. We are doing it as consumers, but also as entities that are protecting consumers. So consumers must join the campaign to demand for things, hold governments accountable, hold processors accountable. No one should give us food to kill us, because food is meant for making us healthier. If instead of being healthier, then you kill me, then who is going to give you the money tomorrow? This should be the philosophy of consumers. So we need to report, in situations where we get wrong products, report them. Each one of us, I assume that if you're a perpetual drinker of beer or maybe soda, you know the taste of soda. If someone gave you soda and is not tasting soda, why would you keep quiet? Move and complain. Move and report. That is that is your role. Go and complain to the authorities that, guys, look here, I bought this soda, it is expired soda, or it is not actually soda. If we go back to the manufacturers of these items, we also encourage them, keep doing market surveys, because people are manipulating your products, and bring the consumers to be aware that, Banange, this is our code. The moment you don't see this, it is not our product, and consumers are aware. This should be the philosophy that everyone goes with. It is also our role as consumers to optimally handle food. Most of the food gets contaminated in our hands, in our homes. You have bought something, it was of high quality, and then you start mishandling it. For example, you've bought food. After buying food, then you leave it in an open place. And then shortly, you start allowing people to start touching it. And you're watching. So consumers also, it's our role to optimally handle food. How do we ensure that our food is well handled? And maybe lastly for now, the consumers are supposed, actually, you have to search for knowledge. You make sure you know. A consumer who doesn't know is in trouble. You must be knowing what is going on around you, especially the food. Be in the know. When you go and buy chikalaya, when you go and buy pork or whatever it is, and they're frying it for you, ensure that you watch who is cutting with what are they using. These are basics that consumers must undertake to make sure that we protect ourselves from having unsafe food on our plates, and then join the campaigns of advocacy. Don't leave Henry to complain alone. No, join the bandwagon. We have to be together. The moment we are many consumers promoting the same thing, these guys will change. So I think that is the basic that really we could look at now.
Yes. Thank you so much, sir. I think you have given us very good information on what we can do, but also you have highlighted where the weaknesses are. Now, before you go to Mr. Henry to wrap it up, I want to say a few things. Number one, that it starts with me.
Exactly.
I won't even say it starts with us. It starts with me. By, for example, from today, telling my children, we are not buying street foods. We're not buying chicken in Muchomo. If you want to eat chicken roasted, let us buy it. Buy cooking oil, which is already packed from Mukwano, whatever it is, and then we do the chicken at home. Now, there's something which I want people in Africa to know. It's going to be biased, but I'm going to say it. I do think that if we trust already tested company products, it's much safer. Yes, it's a bias. Someone is going to say, how about new companies? No. I would rather go and buy Mukwano cooking oil, which I know for sure there are safety concerns, than any other oil I don't know in the market. So I begin from there and say, from today onwards, in fact, I'm saying it today to my children, that no buying, I'm going to use that very newspaper you have given us, no buying Muchomo on the streets, no going to these restaurants and buy chips. Let us do it at home. It may be a long process, but it's much safer, because when they get sick, I'm spending so much money. So as parents, we start with the good practice and say, let us use the long process, but make our own food the way they make it on the streets or in the hotels. I think that's one of the things to do. The other thing which I've loved with your campaign is the ability to use kingdoms. Because these kingdoms have radio stations, they have gatherings. If we can continue with that kind of approach, and we have these programs on CBS, you go to Bunyoro, you go to Kasese, we have this coverage where we speak in vernacular. I believe people are going to get concerned. Tell them, look, you have cancer because you ate bad food, because you ate poison. If I can tell it to my mother will know why my father died. Bad food, bad oils, poison. Now, if you can use that vernacular way of explaining to our people, I believe they are going to be conscious. Say, hey, when you buy bad food, when you buy bad oil and eat it for years, what happens? The cancer cells in your body are going to wake up and it's going to kill you. So what we are doing, honestly, is the best thing. And I liked it when you said We are wasting so much time on politics. We are wasting so much time on football. Honestly, why should you people in Africa spend a full hour listening to football in Europe? Useless football. Analyzing who was sold at what time, who was sold at what much. It is none of our business. If we tell people how to be good food processors, good farmers, they are going to get out of poverty. I do agree with you. If we do the programming very well, if we are conscious as people in Africa and saying, what do you want? We want food on our table, but also we want safe food on our table, because we are spending so much time and money in hospitals. We are always sick. We are always coughing. If the government was wise enough to say, let us give Henry and Bambale and Consent and Slow Food, we give them some bit of money. If you could advocate for that kind of thing, because they are doing something that is helping our economies. In Europe, right concerns actually are facilitated in one way or another. That's why there are so many strict regulations bringing in food here. They get food from Africa and burn it on the airport. They don't even allow it to enter here, because they know once people are sick, the government is going to spend so much money treating them. Money that would have built roads, maybe buy other things. They are going to spend so much money on treating people, because in the UK, for example, you simply go to the hospital and they treat you. So if you are going to be sick every day, government is going to be paying so much money. That's why they are so strict on what you sell on the market, on licensing, because the government is conscious that I'm spending so much money on treating people. Now, in Africa, where government doesn't treat us, we must be conscious and say we are spending so much money on treating ourselves. So that's why I'm saying that I'm taking the lesson by today saying no more buying food from the streets or from the restaurants, because we don't know how it is being prepared. And I'm going to use that newspaper as an example. Look, there is petrol. They are getting transformer oil and they are selling you this food. So you don't know where it is right now. We better cook this food and then we pack it. So to me, it's a lesson I'm taking from there. So I'll take it to Mr. Henry and say, for me, this is what I'm learning, and I'm going to take that practical lesson to my panel, because I'm spending so much money treating people. So Mr. Henry, going back to you now, we are looking at this month in a recap. We have covered quite a number of things this month. Let us now hear from you a summary of what we have covered, and of course, the good practices going forward.
Thank you very much, Paul. You are a very good student, and I would like to thank you and the courage that you've taken, and using everything starts with us. As consumers, I would love us to do around about 5 things. Let's get together and advocate for strong actions by government, the duty bearers. That is one action that we can do as consumers to start with us. That is why the awareness. I would like to give you one, I don't remember Bernard raising it, but when he went to the Guru University and he gave a talk to the students in the faculty of food safety and standards and the Guild Council. The university now wants him to continuously go and talk to the students, but it committed to send the students to the market so that they start training, sensitizing. So I found that to be very good gesture as I forget the terminology, usually apprentice, so that they get the knowledge and bring it into practice. So these are some of the things that we are going to continuously, but making sure that consumers speak out. They are in a position gradually, like we usually say, these are small steps in the right direction. Making sure that the consumers get to know the impact of unsafe food. And then they start demanding, and this is what we are telling the local governments, that you kind of monopolized life. You can't license an food eating house next to a welding or a saloon that is going to do cross-contamination. Because before licensing a premise to do business, it has to be inspected. But these days you are given the license and you are not inspected. Where you put the business, the public health people, it is all about collecting revenue from license. But the collection of revenue is not even taken to hospitals, or it isn't done for awareness. So this is where we need to continuously campaign to make sure that our local governments and the national government starts implementing the policy frameworks that are there, the legal. We have a lot of standards, more than 1,000 that are in food related. But the respective food businesses are doing different things. This is where the consumers, we have to play a role. So as we are wrapping up this month of consumer awareness, I would pray that the consumers, wherever we are, we continuously tell the other consumer that there are these dangers, of the unscrupulous business people who are endangering our lives. So let's speak out to the authorities. So the other aspects that we will continuously do, and I would like to thank the Humanist Africa TV, that we continue, let's do more programs still with regards to food safety. We would like the month of April to tackle a subject that starts with the letter A. I would like us to start discussing agroecology. How is agroecology bringing in sustainable food? How is it sustaining the environment? How is it sustaining the food systems? But we also bring in the food through agroecology will be produced well, but if it is still in the environment we are discussing, then the food will end up being unsafe. Then the essence of doing agroecological agriculture, entering the broken down food control system, then that will be a challenge. So as we started with food fraud, moved into food safety aspects, looking at laws and everything, going into aflatoxins. Now we have been looking at general awareness, which we brought in artificial intelligence. I'm now wondering that most of the items we have handled start with letter A. The other day it was aflatoxin, starts with A. Now this time we are artificial intelligence and food safety. Next month we are going to agroecology. And we will be bringing in different players. We'll see those that are in Uganda. We would love to have slow food once again. We'll be getting in touch with Pelham, Uganda. We'll be getting in touch with Sefrot. We'll be getting in touch with Nogamu, the organic movement, and others, so that we bring them on board. They start sharing, and then they also start appreciating that sustainable food system as agroecology, the food that comes out of it, the services need to be prepared in quality infrastructure. So in essence, that is what I can bring about, where we have come from and where we are going, and we are going to continuously engage the cultural institutions, the religious institutions. We're also going into the institutions of learning to make sure that we use their setups to amplify the food safety and sustainable consumption and production of foods and products continuously goes on to improve the quality of life of consumers. I would pray that, Bernard, if I've left out anything or you have thoughts of anything that we can add to have the program comprehensively, please do add on.
Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah,
Bernard, we are concluding it in the next 5 minutes.
Okay, thank you so much. I think I am very grateful that really we have been able to reach out to the masses with this kind of information. Thank you, Humanist TV, for really giving us the platform. Now, there are quite a number of issues that we have a lot of issues to give to people, but I know we shall package them slowly, but sure. I know that in the month of May, we may now need to look at nutrition, because nutrition is like a subset of food safety. So once we don't eat well, it affects the nutrition bit there. So we thought that after agroecology later, we can look at nutrition issues. Why children are stunted. There is a very big relationship between stunted growth and food safety. So we shall be bringing in all those elements come May after agroecology. But maybe something that I had left out. Mr. Mukasa, you will recall that in your village or in my village, there are people who are handling washing bays.
Yeah.
Where our vehicles are being washed. It's very unfortunate that many of them in our areas are being washed along the river banks. And unfortunately, most of those washing bays are licensed by cities or governments to actually run, because this is where government vehicles are being washed. So every time someone is establishing a washing bay, they go and put it along the river bank, because there is access to water easily. So the guys just run into the bank, the river, and then they pick out water, and then they start, washing cars. All the water waste is going back to the river bank, and there's a colleague who's fetching water just beneath somewhere there. So there's been a report in Uganda that almost all districts, I think the best district had about 87% of fecal matter in water. Most of the districts at 97, 93, 96, 95. I think I'll share that at the start of next week when we are beginning at the Saturday show. I'll be able to give you a newspaper. These are results from UBOS. I mean, it's not any organization this time. It is Uganda Bureau of Statistics releasing the report early last week. So it indicates that most of the districts around us are actually having fecal matter in the water. And across the country, none of the districts was scoring less than 75% of having fecal matter inside the water that people are taking. So all these are issues of safety. But then also I was looking at it in terms of relationship with what we are discussing. If you can still wash a vehicle at the water source from morning to evening and you're licensed anyway, does it mean our leaders are just dull, that they cannot understand this kind of stuff? A person is washed, even government vehicles are being washed in the same place. These are all food safety issues. So at the end of the day, we're talking about transformer oil, but the engine oils, these other petroleum products, during the washing of the vehicles, they run into the water, and our people are busy drinking the water or using the water to cook food for humans. At the end of the day, people have a lot of diseases. Cancer is all over. I mean, a lot of intestinal problems, a lot of gastrointestinal diseases. I mean, so many stuff. But we know the cause. The cause is the safety of the products that we are using, and we must work hard to ensure that we eliminate this. So I think we shall continue with the discussion. I mean, as the weeks avail, and then we shall be able to reach out to the masses as well using other platforms. And thank you so much, Humanist TV, for the time and for always giving us the space to speak to our people. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, Mr. Wambale. Mr. Henry Kimera, give us your parting shot in a minute. They shall be out of here.
Okay, thank you very much. Consumers, we are the largest socioeconomic group. We vote in governments. Either we have voted them in or they rule us, but we have to speak up. We have to speak up to have laws that are effective. We have to nurture the quality culture, because if we do not think quality, we are going to end up all the savings that we have to spend them on health. So if it is not safe, it is not food. So, okay, thank you very much, Dennis, for putting our tips, festive tips. Yes, we are in a festive season. After Easter, we'll have Eid, and as consent, we are asking consumers to eat safe, check out or buy your food from a recognized place, a hygienic place, handle it well when you're home. Don't overeat, just eat enough to keep you healthy, and the food should be healthy and good for you. So colleagues, until next week, I wish you all have happy festive season, and be responsible and consume sustainably. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, our experts, for today, and of course yesterday and tomorrow. We shall be having you here in the month of April. We shall talk about ecology.
Agroecology.
Agroecology. Agriculture
Yes.
and ecology. We shall be combining the two into one, and we shall be looking at that. I'm so happy because of that statement you make. If it's not safe, it's not food. Therefore, I'll end this show right on there. If it's not safe, it's not food. See you in the next show.
Bye-bye. God bless.